Gaza has been to bring a shift, as I said, inside the trade union movement. And one of the debates that took place in union after union over the course of last year was its attitude to boycott, disinvestment and sanctions, which led, I think, historically to the Trade Union Congress in September passing a motion for the first time advocating boycott. And today, as we speak, we got agreement with the TUC and the PSC to have jointly badged materials to be going out to make sure we can make that a reality, and I hope lift to another level the campaign around the boycott that's taken place until now. And therefore, I'm very pleased to be able to introduce Alison Shepard, who's chair of the International Policy Committee of Unison, because Unison played a key role in delivering that vote at the TUC, and have played a key role for many years. They've been one of the first and major unions that have advocated solidarity with Palestine and boycott. Alison.
Well, thank you very much, Chair, and I am pleased to be here this evening, and I'm always pleased to stand on the platform with our sisters and brothers from Palestine. Unison's been a long-term campaigner on the issue of Palestine, and it is an issue that's debated at our conference every year. We've developed policy from a very long time back, but the military action a year ago brought the reality, I think, into the living rooms of all our members, and it certainly focused our minds and it moved our policy on. So, where are we 1 year on? Well, 1 year after the start of the military action in Gaza, I think that we believe that the international community has betrayed the people of Gaza by failing to back their words with the effective action to secure the end of the Israeli blockade, and that's preventing reconstruction and recovery. This isn't an accident, it's a matter of policy. The Israeli policy is of isolation, it's not new, and Gaza has been the subject of closures since 2000 and has been blockade since 2007. As we've heard graphically with the convoy report back, which I found interesting, Israel does retain direct control over all crossings into Gaza except for Rafah, and determines in detail what is not permitted. The recent actions of the Egyptian government, including the construction of the wall, as the Chair mentioned, so they can't escape criticism either. The problem which we have to remember currently, and to keep reinforcing, the problem is the occupation. Under international humanitarian law, Israel remains the occupying power, despite disengaging from Gaza in 2005, and it's insistent that it no longer occupies the strip. And so Israel still maintains effective control over entry and exit into Gaza. Its airspace, its seas, all aspects of its daily life, its economic life and infrastructure. As a trade union, we're interested in employment issues, and even before the offensive, 98% of industrial operations in Gaza were idle because of the blockade. And even before the attack, unemployment stood at 40%, and 70% of the population lived below the UN poverty threshold of $2 a day. One of the aspects of Unison is that we're a health union, and our members were appalled at the damage that they saw. The WHO estimated that 122 health facilities in Gaza, and of those, 48% were damaged or destroyed in the offensive. 15 hospitals, 41 primary healthcare centres were partially damaged. 2 primary healthcare centres were destroyed, and 29 ambulances were partially damaged or destroyed. That is an appalling thing when you're involved in health and saving life. We're also an education union, and we saw that during the offensive 18 schools were destroyed, including 8 government schools, 2 private schools, 8 kindergartens, and at least 280 were damaged. Education is just so important in terms of the life of any civilised people. As the Chair mentioned, all these appalling incidents did moved things on in my union, and it moved things on in other unions as well. There's a whole number of unions who've got commitment and have been working, but a whole lot more suddenly came on board, and I think the momentum was overwhelming. And the TUC at its Congress last year, after a long and interesting week, took a very major and very clear decision and took its policy forward on the issue of Palestine. And that's from a grassroots, it's the feelings of ordinary trade unionists who achieved that. As we've just heard, the TUC executive today supported the boycott of goods produced in the illegal settlements. A very good and a very clear policy taken forward in a good spirit and with the assistance of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. I think that is really very important, the trade union movement working together with the major campaigning organisation that so many of us are affiliated to. So that's one clear objective and some very clear work that we can do over the forthcoming months. But there were other aspects of our policy as well, and we called for an end to the arms trade with Israel. Sales of arms to Israel doubled in 2008 compared with 2007, and we know that British-made components were used by Israel in the assault on Gaza. The TUC has also called for the suspension of the EU-Israel Association Agreement, and that is another area which we need to step up some work on. The European Union is the major funder of humanitarian development programmes in the occupied Palestinian territory and Israel's largest export market. So, despite some fairly strong language, the EU has so far failed to move beyond words. We think that the suspension of the agreement would have a major impact on the Israeli economy, industry, research and university sector. So I think you can see that there is an awful lot that we can do as a trade union movement. We'll be playing our part in building a very mass movement in solidarity with the Palestinian people. So thank you very much.